Welcome to the new video. Old Cryptocoin, the story of the Franklin half dollar from 1954, is a fascinating journey into American history, coin collecting, and the legacy of one of the most influential figures in the history of the United States. When collectors talk about classic American silver coins, the 1954 Franklin half dollar is always mentioned as an important and beautiful piece of American numismatic history. This coin was part of the Franklin half dollar series that was produced by the United States Mint between 1948 and 1963 and honors one of America's most respected founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin. Franklin was not president, but his contributions to science, diplomacy, and the founding of the nation made him a legendary historical figure, which is why his portrait appears on this iconic coin. The 1954 Franklin half dollar contains 90% silver and 10% copper, giving it both intrinsic metal value and collectible appeal. At the time it was minted, the coin had a face value of 50 cents. But today, certain well-preserved examples can be worth much more depending on their condition and rarity. The obverse side of the coin features a distinguished profile portrait of Benjamin Franklin, designed by the talented engraver John R. Sinek, who served as the chief engraver of the United States Mint. Franklin's calm and wise expression symbolizes intelligence, leadership, and the spirit of early America. Around the portrait, you will see the word liberty, which reflects the core principle upon which the United States was founded, as well as the national motto, "In God We Trust." Below the portrait appears the year 1954, marking the coin's place in mid-20th century American history. When you turn the coin over to the reverse side, you will see one of the most recognizable symbols of American independence, the Liberty Bell. The Liberty Bell design reminds collectors of the historic moment connected to the American Declaration of Independence, when the bell became a powerful symbol of freedom and unity. Next to the bell is a small eagle, which was included to meet the legal requirement that half-dollar coins display an eagle. The inscription, United States of America, appears along the top, while half dollar is written at the bottom. Surrounding the design are small details and inscriptions that represent the pride and identity of the nation during that era. The year 1954 was an interesting time in the United States, as the country was experiencing economic growth after World War II and moving into the early years of the Cold War. Coins like the Franklin half dollar circulated widely in everyday commerce, meaning people used them in stores, banks, and markets across the country. Over time, many of these coins disappeared from circulation as collectors began saving them, especially because they contained real silver. During the 1960s, rising silver prices caused many people to hoard silver coins, which made older coins like the 1954 Franklin half dollar increasingly desirable among collectors. The coin was produced at different mint facilities, including the famous Philadelphia Mint, the Denver Mint, and the San Francisco Mint. Coins produced in Philadelphia typically have no mint mark, while those from Denver carry a small D, and those from San Francisco display an S. Mint marks can make a big difference in value for collectors because some mintages are lower than others. For example, a 1954 Franklin half dollar in average circulated condition might only be worth its silver value, but coin in uncirculated or mint state condition can be worth significantly more. Some collectors also search for special high-quality examples with strong details and original luster. Professional grading services, such as Professional Coin Grading Service and Numismatic Guarantee Company, carefully evaluate coins and assign grades that help determine their market value. In top grades, certain Franklin half dollars have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auctions. What makes the 1954 Franklin half dollar especially interesting is the beauty of its design and the story it tells about American heritage. Benjamin Franklin himself was a printer, scientist, inventor, diplomat, and philosopher who played a critical role in shaping the early United States. His image on the coin reminds collectors of the intellectual spirit that helped build the nation. The Liberty Bell on the reverse represents freedom and the struggle for independence that defined American history. Together, these two symbols make the coin a miniature piece of art and history that can be held in the palm of your hand. For many collectors around the world, including beginners and experienced numismatists, Franklin half dollars are a favorite series because they combine silver content, historical significance, and attractive design. Searching through old coin collections, estate sales, or bank rolls sometimes reveals hidden treasures, and finding a well-preserved 1954 Franklin half dollar can be an exciting moment for any collector. As the decades pass, coins like this continue to grow in popularity because they represent a time when American coins were made from precious metals and designed with strong symbolic meaning. Today, collectors study the details of strike quality, luster, and surface preservation to determine the grade and value of each coin. Some examples even show special characteristics, such as full bell lines, which refers to the sharp detail on the Liberty Bell design, and can increase the coin's value significantly. The 1954 Franklin half dollar is more than just a 50-cent coin. It is a historical artifact that connects modern collectors with the past. From its silver composition to its tribute to Benjamin Franklin, this coin represents a remarkable chapter in American coinage history. Whether discovered in a collection, purchased at a coin show, or inherited from family members, each Franklin half dollar carries its own story. For collectors and history enthusiasts alike, the 1954 Franklin half dollar remains a shining example of the craftsmanship and symbolism that defined United States coinage during the mid-20th century. Step 1, the story of the Franklin half dollar from 1952 is one of the most fascinating chapters in American coin history, connecting collectors with the legacy of one of the most influential figures in the United States, Benjamin Franklin. When this coin was circulating in everyday American life, it represented much more than 50 cents. It carried the image of a man whose ideas helped shape the nation and whose contributions to science, diplomacy, and independence made him a symbol of wisdom and progress. The Franklin half dollar series was produced by the United States Mint from 1948 until 1963, and the 1952 issue stands as a memorable example of mid-20th century American coinage. For collectors today, this coin is not just currency from the past, but a historical artifact that tells a story about American culture, design, and craftsmanship during the early 1950s. The design of the Franklin half dollar was created by the talented sculptor and engraver John R. Sinek, who served as chief engraver of the United States Mint. His goal was to honor Benjamin Franklin by placing his distinguished portrait on the obverse of the coin. Franklin was never a U.S. president, yet he remains one of the most respected founding figures of the nation. The obverse of the 1952 Franklin half dollar shows Franklin facing right, with the word liberty boldly inscribed along the rim, and the phrase, "In God We Trust," positioned to the left of his portrait. The year 1952 appears just below the portrait, marking the time when this coin was struck. The design is simple but powerful, emphasizing Franklin's thoughtful expression and dignified appearance. On the reverse side of the coin appears the famous Liberty Bell, one of the most recognizable symbols of American freedom. The Liberty Bell is shown in detailed relief, including its iconic crack, which has become part of its historical identity. Above the bell is the motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, reflecting the unity of the American states. To the right of the bell is a small eagle, added because U.S. law required that half-dollar coins include an eagle in their design. This combination of the Liberty Bell and the eagle gives the reverse side of the 1952 Franklin half dollar a sense of national pride and symbolism that resonates strongly with collectors even today. The 1952 Franklin half dollar was minted in 3 different locations operated by the United States Mint: Philadelphia Mint, Denver Mint, and San Francisco Mint. Coins produced in Philadelphia typically have no mint mark, while those from Denver feature a small D, and those from San Francisco include an S. Each mint produced millions of coins, meaning the 1952 Franklin half dollar was widely circulated during its time. However, although many were made, coins that remain in excellent condition today can still command significant interest and value among collectors. The composition of the Franklin half dollar is another reason collectors admire it. Like many U.S. coins in the era, it was struck in 90% silver and 10% copper, giving the coin a bright metallic luster when freshly minted. The weight of the coin is approximately 12.5 grams, and its diameter measures 30.6 millimeters. Because of its high silver content, many Franklin half dollars were later melted down when silver prices rose in the 1960s and 1970s. As a result, Surviving coins, especially those in pristine condition, have become increasingly desirable in the numismatic community. In terms of mintage numbers, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 21 million Franklin half dollars in 1952, making it one of the more common issues of the series. The Denver Mint produced over 25 million, while the San Francisco Mint struck approximately 5.5 million coins. Although these numbers seem large, the condition of a coin greatly affects its value today. Coins that were heavily circulated may show scratches, worn details, or dull surfaces, while uncirculated examples retain their original mint luster and sharp details. Collectors often seek coins graded by professional grading services, which evaluate a coin's condition on a scale from poor P1 to mint state MS70. One of the most sought-after characteristics in the Franklin half-dollar series is the presence of full bell lines. These are the horizontal lines visible at the bottom of the Liberty Bell on the reverse side of the coin. When these lines are sharp and complete, it indicates that the coin was struck with exceptional detail. Collectors often pay a premium for Franklin half dollars with full bell lines because they demonstrate superior minting quality. A 1952 Franklin half dollar with this feature, especially in high mint state grades, can be significantly more valuable than a typical circulated example. Historically, the early 1950s were a period of change and growth in the United States. The nation was emerging from the aftermath of World War II and entering the modern era marked by technological advancement and economic expansion. Coins like the 1952 Franklin half dollar were part of everyday commerce, used in stores, banks, and businesses across the country. Although half dollars are rarely seen in circulation today, during that time they were commonly used in transactions and even in vending machines and casinos. Holding a 1952 Franklin half dollar today can feel like holding a small piece of that vibrant historical period. The Franklin half dollar series eventually came to an end in 1963, just before a dramatic change in American coinage occurred. Following the tragic assassination of John F. Kennedy in 1963, the United States Mint introduced the Kennedy half dollar in 1964 to honor the fallen president. This new coin replaced the Franklin design and quickly became one of the most widely recognized coins in American history. As a result, the Franklin half dollar series remains a finite and historically significant collection for numismatists. For collectors, the 1952 Franklin half dollar represents a perfect combination of artistry, history, and precious metal content. Some examples in circulated condition may be worth only slightly more than their silver value, while uncirculated coins can command higher prices depending on their grade and rarity. Exceptional specimens with full bell lines and near-perfect surfaces have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. This wide range of values makes the coin accessible to beginner collectors while still offering excitement for experienced numismatists seeking rare high-grade pieces. Beyond its monetary value, the 1952 Franklin half dollar carries cultural and historical meaning. Benjamin Franklin's legacy as a scientist, inventor, writer, and diplomat reminds us of the intellectual spirit that helped shape the United States. By featuring Franklin on the half dollar, the United States Mint paid tribute to a figure whose influence extended far beyond politics. Every detail of the coin, from Franklin's portrait to the Liberty Bell, tells a story about American identity and ideals. Many collectors enjoy searching through old coin collection, estate sales, and coin shops hoping to discover a well-preserved Franklin half dollar. Sometimes these coins appear unexpectedly in inherited coin jars or old family albums. When someone discovers a shiny silver half dollar dated 1952, it often sparks curiosity about its origin, value, and historical significance. This sense of discovery is part of what makes coin collecting such an engaging hobby. Another reason the 1952 Franklin half dollar remains. Step to the story of the 1956 Liberty Franklin half dollar begins in a fascinating era of American history when coins were not only used for everyday transactions, but also served as small pieces of art and national identity. The Franklin half dollar, officially known as the Franklin half dollar, was introduced in 1948 to honor one of America's most respected founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin. Franklin was not a U.S. president, yet his impact on the United States was so significant that the U.S. Mint chose to celebrate his legacy on one of the nation's major silver coins. The series was produced from 1948 until 1963 and quickly became a favorite among collectors because of its historical symbolism, beautiful design, and high silver content. By the time the 1956 Franklin half dollar was minted, the coin had already established itself as an important piece of mid-20th century American coinage, representing both the artistry of the mint and the economic environment of post-World War II America. The obverse of the 1956 Franklin half dollar features a detailed portrait of Benjamin Franklin facing right. The design was created by John R. Cynic, who served as the chief engraver of the United States Mint. His design captures Franklin's calm expression, emphasizing wisdom and dignity. Above Franklin's head appears the word liberty, symbolizing the core values of the United States. Just below the portrait you will find the phrase, "In God We Trust," which reflects the country's national motto. The year 1956 is placed near the bottom of the coin, marking the exact year of minting and helping collectors identify the coin's historical period. To the right of Franklin's shoulder, you can see the small initials jars, honoring Cynic as a designer. These initials sparked small controversies in earlier years because some people mistakenly believed they represented Joseph Stalin, but the U.S. Mint clarified that they simply stood for John R. Cynic. Turning the coin over reveals the reverse design, which is equally symbolic. The reverse features the iconic Liberty Bell, one of the most famous symbols of American freedom. The Liberty Bell is strongly connected with the American Revolution and is closely associated with the historic Independence Hall in Philadelphia. The bell represents independence and the enduring spirit of liberty that shaped the nation. On the right side of the bell appears a small eagle, included because U.S. law required that half-dollar coins must contain an eagle. Above the bell, the inscription, United States of America, is proudly displayed, while the denomination half-dollar is written below. Surrounding the design are the words, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, which emphasizes the unity of the American states. The 1956 Franklin half dollar was minted in two different locations. The main production occurred at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced coins without a mint mark. Another portion of the coins was minted at the Denver Mint, which placed a small D mint mark on the reverse of the coin near the Liberty Bell. The Philadelphia Mint produced millions of coins in 1956, while the Denver Mint also struck a large number for circulation. Because both mints produced high quantities, the coin was widely used in everyday commerce during the 1950s and early 1960s. However, despite its large mintage, collectors today still search for high-grade examples that remain in pristine condition. One of the most fascinating aspects of the 1956 Franklin half dollar is its silver composition. Unlike modern coins, which are mostly made from base metals, this coin contains 90% silver and 10% copper. The weight of the coin is approximately 12.5 grams, and its diameter is about 30.6 millimeters. Because of its silver content, the coin has intrinsic metal value, meaning the value of the silver alone can influence the coin's price in the collector market. During the mid-20th century, silver coins were a standard part of everyday life in the United States. People use them for shopping, transportation, and other daily expenses without realizing that decades later these coins will become valuable collectibles. Collectors often evaluate the 1956 Franklin half dollar based on its condition, which is measured using grading standards. Coins that circulated heavily usually show scratches, worn details, and dull surfaces. These are typically graded as good or very good. Coins with moderate wear may receive grades like fine or very fine. However, the most valuable coins are those graded mint state, meaning they were never used in circulation and still retain their original luster. Professional grading organizations such as the Professional Coin Grading Service and the Numismatic Guarantee Company often certify coins to confirm their authenticity and condition. Another important factor collectors consider is the full bell lines designation. On the reverse of the Franklin half dollar, the Liberty Bell contains several horizontal lines near the bottom. When these lines appear fully visible and sharply struck, the coin may qualify for the full bell lines designation, often abbreviated as FBL. Coins with this designation are much more desirable among collectors because they indicate exceptional strike quality. Finding a 1956 Franklin half dollar with strong full bell lines and a high mint state grade, can significantly increase the coin's market value. The value of a 1956 Franklin half dollar varies widely depending on its condition and rarity. A typical circulated coin may be worth only slightly more than its silver melt value, but well-preserved examples can sell for significantly higher prices. High-grade coins with full bell lines have been known to sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auctions. Auction houses such as Heritage Auctions frequently feature rare Franklin half dollars in their numismatic sales, attracting collectors from around the world who appreciate the beauty and history of these coins. Historically, the Franklin half dollar series ended in 1963, following the tragic assassination of John F. Kennedy. In 1964, the United States introduced the Kennedy half dollar to honor President John F. Kennedy. This change marked the end of the Franklin half dollar series, but also increased interest in the earlier coins, including the 1956 issue. Collectors began saving Franklin half dollars as historical artifacts representing a unique period in American coinage. Today, the 1956 Franklin half dollar remains a beloved collectible for coin enthusiasts and historians alike. It represents more than just currency. It tells a story about American heritage, the artistry of coin design, and the legacy of Benjamin Franklin. Whether discovered in an old coin collection, inherited from family members, or purchased at a coin show, this coin connects collectors to a fascinating chapter of United States history. Every scratch, every detail, and every shining surface carries a memory of the era in which the coin circulated. For collectors, the thrill of finding a well-preserved 1956 Franklin half dollar is always exciting. Some people search through old coin rolls hoping to discover hidden treasures, while others carefully study auctions and coin shops looking for rare varieties. The coin's combination of silver value, historical importance, and classic design makes it a cornerstone of many numismatic collections. Even decades after it was minted, the 1956 Franklin half dollar continues to inspire curiosity and admiration among collectors around the world. In the end, the 1956 Franklin. Step 3, the story of the Franklin half dollar from 1951, is one of the most fascinating chapters in American coin history. A coin that carries a legacy of innovation, patriotism, and the powerful influence of one of America's greatest founding figures, Benjamin Franklin. Introduced in 1948, the Franklin half dollar was designed to honor Franklin's contributions as a statesman, inventor, scientist, and philosopher. By 1951, the coin had already become a recognizable symbol amid 20th century American coinage, circulating widely across the United States, while also becoming a favorite among collectors. The obverse of the coin features the bold portrait of Benjamin Franklin facing right, a design created by the talented sculptor John R. Sinek, who served as the chief engraver of the United States Mint. Franklin's portrait appears calm and thoughtful, reflecting the wisdom and intelligence that defined his life. Above the portrait appears the word liberty, while the motto, "In God We Trust," is placed along the lower edge of the coin. To the right of Franklin's image appears the year 1951, marking the year of mintage and connecting the coin to the early years of the post-World War II American economy. The reverse side of the coin displays the famous Liberty Bell, an iconic symbol of American independence that represents freedom and the birth of the United States as a nation. The Liberty Bell appears detailed and realistic, even showing the famous crack that made the bell historically recognizable. To the right of the bell is a small eagle, added to satisfy a legal requirement that all half-dollar coins must display an eagle somewhere in the design. Above the bell appears the inscription, United States of America, while the denomination half dollar is written below, clearly identifying the coin's value. The motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many one, appears across the upper section of the design, reinforcing the idea of unity that lies at the heart of the American Republic. The 1951 Franklin half dollar was produced at two major mint facilities, the Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint. Coins produced in Philadelphia do not carry a mint mark, while coins struck in Denver include the letter D on the reverse side near the Liberty Bell. Both versions were struck in a composition of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving the coin a beautiful silver appearance and a satisfying weight and feel when held in the hand. Each coin weighs approximately 12.5 grams and measures about 30.6 millimeters in diameter, making it a substantial and impressive piece of American coinage. During the year 1951, millions of Franklin half dollars were minted and released into circulation, where they were used in everyday commerce across the country. At that time, half dollars were still widely used in daily transactions, often appearing in banks, stores, and vending machines. Over the decades, however, many of these coins were removed from circulation by collectors who recognized their historical and silver value. Today, surviving examples of the 1951 Franklin half dollar can vary widely in condition, from heavily circulated coins that show decades of wear to beautifully preserved mint state examples that appear almost exactly as they did the day they were struck. Collectors often pay close attention to the quality of the Liberty Bell's horizontal lines on the reverse, known as full bell lines, which indicate a strong and well-struck coin. Coins with fully visible bell lines are particularly desirable and can command much higher prices in the numismatic market. In lower circulated grades, a 1951 Franklin half dollar may be worth only slightly more than its silver content, but in higher mint state grades, the coin's value can increase dramatically. Some exceptional examples graded by professional services, such as a professional coin grading service or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars at auction. Beyond its monetary value, the coin represents an important moment in American design history. The Franklin half dollar series was the first regular circulating U.S. coin to feature a non-president historical figure, breaking with the tradition of honoring presidents that had dominated American coinage in the early 20th century. This decision reflected the deep respect Americans held for Benjamin Franklin's intellectual legacy and his role in shaping the foundations of the United States. The Franklin half dollar series continued to be produced until 1963, when it was replaced in 1964 by the Kennedy half dollar, created to honor the late President John F. Kennedy following his tragic assassination in 1963. As a result, the Franklin half dollar series remained relatively short, lasting only 16 years, which has helped maintain strong collector interest in the coins today. For many numismatists and history enthusiasts, the 1951 Franklin half dollar represents more than just silver and metal. It represents a connection to a time when American coinage celebrated intellectual achievement, national unity, and enduring ideals of liberty and independence. Holding a 1951 Franklin half dollar today is like holding a small piece of history, a reminder of the people, ideas, and values that helped shape the United States. Whether discovered in an old collection, inherited from a family member, or carefully purchased by a passionate collector, this coin continues to inspire curiosity and admiration more than 70 years after it was first struck. For YouTube viewers and coin collectors alike, exploring the history of the 1951 Franklin half dollar opens the door to the broader story of American numismatics, revealing how even a single coin can carry a rich legacy of art, history, and national pride. The story of the Franklin half dollar is one of the most fascinating chapters in American coin history, and for collectors and history lovers alike, this coin represents far more than just 50 cents. Introduced in 1948, the Franklin half dollar honored one of the most respected figures in American history, Benjamin Franklin, a founding father known for his wisdom, diplomacy, and scientific achievements. By the year 1960, this coin had already been circulating for over a decade, quietly becoming a favorite among collectors and everyday Americans who appreciated its design, silver content, and connection to the past. The 1960 Franklin half dollar was minted by the United States Mint, the official producer of American coinage, and it was struck primarily at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Like other Franklin half dollars of its era, the 1960 version was composed of 90% silver and 10% copper, giving it both intrinsic metal value and historical significance. At a time when silver coins were still part of everyday commerce in the United States, the Franklin half dollar represented both spending power and a tangible piece of national heritage. When you hold a 1960 Franklin half dollar in your hand, you're holding a coin that weighs approximately 12.5 grams and measures 30.6 millimeters in diameter. The coin's design was created by sculptor John R. Sinek, the chief engraver of the United States Mint, who carefully crafted a portrait of Benjamin Franklin for the obverse side. Franklin's calm and thoughtful profile faces right, accompanied by the word liberty, along the edge and the national motto, "In God We Trust," beneath the portrait. The year 1960 appears prominently below Franklin's image, marking the moment in time when this coin entered circulation. The simplicity and dignity of this design made it instantly recognizable and distinguished from other American coins of the period. On the reverse side of the coin, the design features the Liberty Bell, one of the most iconic symbols of American freedom. The Liberty Bell is shown in detailed relief, complete with a famous crack that has become part of its historical identity. To the right of the bell appears a small eagle, included to satisfy legal requirements that half dollars must display the national bird. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions, "United States of America" and "half dollar," reinforcing the coin's official status and denomination. For collectors studying the 1960 Franklin half dollar today, the details of the Liberty Bell design are particularly important because small variations in strike quality and condition can greatly affect the coin's value. One of the most interesting aspects of the 1960 Franklin half dollar is the difference between coins minted in Philadelphia and those minted in Denver. The Philadelphia mint coins carry no mint mark, while the Denver mint coins display a small D mark on the reverse side just above the Liberty Bell. These subtle distinctions help collectors identify the origin of each coin and add another layer of intrigue to the hobby of numismatics. During 1960, millions of Franklin half dollars were produced to meet the needs of a growing economy, but despite the high production numbers, many examples were heavily circulated and worn down through everyday use. Because of this, high-grade specimens that retain their original luster and sharp details can be surprisingly valuable today. Coin collectors often search for pieces that show strong bell lines on a Liberty Bell, known as full bell lines, a feature that indicates an especially well-struck coin. These details can significantly increase a coin's desirability and market price among serious collectors. The historical context of the 1960 Franklin half dollar is also worth exploring. The early 1960s were a time of transformation in the United States, as the nation experienced rapid technological progress, cultural change, and growing global influence. Coins like the Franklin half dollar circulated through countless hands, passing through grocery stores, banks, and everyday transactions across the country. Each coin carried with the image of Benjamin Franklin, reminding Americans of the nation's intellectual and revolutionary roots. Yet only a few years later, the era of silver coinage would begin to end. Rising silver prices eventually led the United States government to remove silver from most circulating coins in 1965, making earlier coins like the Franklin half dollar even more significant in retrospect. In fact, the Franklin half dollar series itself came to an end in 1963, when it was replaced by the Kennedy half dollar following the tragic assassination of John F. Kennedy. Because of this transition, the 1960 Franklin half dollar now represents one of the final chapters of the series. For modern collectors, this coin offers a combination of historical depth, precious metal content, and classic American design. Some examples can still be found in old coin collections, bankrolls, or inherited family treasures, waiting to be rediscovered. The thrill of finding a well-preserved 1960 Franklin half dollar continues to inspire collectors around the world, especially those who appreciate coins that connect tangible objects with stories of the past. Over the years, auction houses and grading services have carefully evaluated surviving specimens, and coins in exceptional condition have sold for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on their grade and rarity. Even common examples still hold value due to their silver content alone. This enduring appeal is one reason the Franklin half dollar remains a cornerstone of many American coin collections. Beyond its monetary worth, the coin symbolizes a tribute to Benjamin Franklin's enduring legacy. Franklin was not only a statesman, but also a printer, inventor, scientist, and philosopher whose ideas shaped the foundations of the United States. By placing his image on a circulating coin, the nation honored his contributions in a way that allowed millions of citizens to interact with his legacy every day. The 1960 Franklin half dollar therefore stands as both a functional object and a miniature monument to American history. For anyone interested in coin collecting, history, or precious metals, this coin provides a perfect gateway into the fascinating world of numismatics. Whether you are examining the subtle details of the Liberty Bell, studying the portrait of Benjamin Franklin, or simply appreciating the weight of silver in your hand. The 1960 Franklin half dollar continues to capture the imagination of collectors more than 6 decades after it was minted. It reminds us that even small objects can carry powerful stories, connecting the present to the ideals, achievements, and struggles of the past. And as collectors continue to search through coin rolls, auctions, and family heirlooms, the story of the 1960 Franklin half dollar lives on, shining like a piece of American history, preserved in silver. If you want, I can also make YouTube title, description, and 10 SEO tag for this.